Sharks have been on this earth for about 400 million years, and in that time, they have become apex predators, killing anything that gets in their way. However, sharks weren't the only fearsome monsters swimming around in the oceans in prehistoric times. From giant predatory snails to creatures that could swallow a megalodon whole. Here are 5 prehistoric sea monsters more terrifying than sharks. Hi everyone, it's me, your host, and welcome to Paleologic. Today we're taking a look at some of the scariest animals to ever swim in the oceans. For our first monster, we will travel to the Eocene epoch around 34 million years ago. Back then, the seas were filled with gigantic squid-like monsters known as ammonites. These extinct relatives of modern-day octopus and squid would swim around using their 8 arms and 2 long tentacles to grab prey. They had large eyes to spot their prey from far away, and a beak like a parrot to tear through flesh. And while today's largest squid barely reach over 30 feet, that wasn't the case in the past. One of the largest ammonites, Humboldt's pygmies, reached lengths of up to 60 feet. This massive squid-like monster would easily be able to wrap its tentacles around the largest whales and drag them down to the depths. The ancestors of these squids were thought to have first appeared in the fossil record during the Jurassic period, and they continued to increase in size throughout the following Cretaceous period, until eventually reaching their maximum size during the Eocene. But unfortunately, ammonites went extinct during the Cretaceous mass extinction event, along with many other animals, including the dinosaurs. Ammonites weren't the only giant cephalopods swimming around during the age of the dinosaurs. During the late Jurassic, there was another type of cephalopod that ruled the oceans, the ichthyosaur. Ichthyosaurs were marine reptiles who inhabited the world's oceans from the Triassic period all the way to the end of the Cretaceous. Throughout their 150 million year reign, they evolved into many different shapes and sizes. Some were small, like the modern-day platypus, while others grew to incredible lengths. One of the largest ichthyosaurs was Himalayasaurus. Fossils of this species were first discovered in 1952 in southern India. But they probably reached lengths of about 85 feet. That's about the same length as a Tyrannosaurus rex. Ichthyosaurs were built for speed with their streamlined bodies and powerful tails, allowing them to move effortlessly through the water. They also had huge eyes to spot prey from far away. And just like ammonites, they had a parrot-like beak to tear through flesh. The reason why ichthyosaurs developed such large eyes and beaks is because they were apex predators. Some ichthyosaurs specialized in hunting fish, while others preferred to hunt other marine reptiles. Ichthyosaurs gave birth to live young, and females were able to produce up to 50 offspring at a time. After the extinction of the dinosaurs, ichthyosaurs continued to thrive until their second mass extinction 66 million years ago, likely due to the asteroid impact. While on the subject of giant marine reptiles, let's take a look at the mosasaurs. Mosasaurs were a type of marine lizard that lived during the late Cretaceous. They were part of a group of reptiles called squamates, which includes lizards, snakes, and even turtles. Like ichthyosaurs, mosasaurs were apex predators that haunted the oceans of both the Atlantic and Pacific. They had long, powerful jaws, full of sharp teeth that could easily rip apart prey. And thanks to their paddle-like limbs, they were excellent swimmers. Mosasaurs were so good at swimming that they were capable of leaping out of the water, grabbing prey, and then disappearing back under the waves before you can blink. Mosasaurs grew to incredible lengths, with some species reaching up to 55 feet long. To put that into perspective, that's as long as an orca. Mosasaurs were also very heavy, weighing upwards of 40,000 pounds. If a mosasaur the size of an orca was swimming towards you, there wouldn't be much you could do to escape. Even if you were as fast as Usain Bolt, you would be no match for these aquatic lizards. You'd be better off trying to outrun a T-Rex. Mosasaurs died out alongside other non-avian dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous period. It's likely due to the asteroid impact. Now let's take a look at something that may surprise you. While sharks have been around for a very long time, they weren't the first cartilaginous fish to swim in the oceans. That honor belongs to the hybotus. Hybotus were a type of cartilaginous fish that existed from the early Devonian period to the late Cretaceous. For most of their existence, they were the apex predators of the oceans, killing anything that got in their way. Sharks were part of a group called the Elizamobranches, which means they are closely related to sharks and rays. However, unlike sharks, Hagfish are not able to actively hunt for food. Instead, they are scavengers, waiting for an animal to die before eating it. Hagfish have unique teeth that allow them to slice through flesh with ease. They also have slime-covered bodies that allow them to wriggle through tight spaces with ease. Their strange appearance has led many people to refer to hagfish as the ugliest animal on the planet. However, this isn't completely true. There are other animals that are just as ugly, like the blobfish. Despite being ugly, hagfish were still successful. They inhabited every ocean across the globe and survived for over 300 million years. However, they went extinct during the Cretaceous mass extinction event, likely due to the asteroid impact. One of the most famous prehistoric creatures to ever inhabit the oceans is the megalodon. Megalodon was a type of shark that lived from the early Miocene to the late Pliocene. At about 70 feet long, it's the largest shark to ever live. That's 50 feet longer than the great white shark. Megalodon was also much heavier than today's sharks, weighing upwards of 100 tons. To put that into perspective, Megalodon weighed about as much as a fully grown blue whale. Megalodon had massive serrated teeth that were used to slice through flesh. In fact, a single Megalodon tooth can be as large as a dinner plate. These gigantic sharks would swim all over the world, hunting whales and other large marine animals. They were perfectly built for this lifestyle with their streamlined bodies and powerful tails that allowed them to swim effortlessly through the water. Fortunately, megalodons went extinct around 3.6 million years ago, likely due to a cooling climate. This led to less plankton, which in turn led to less whales for megalodons to eat. Without enough food, these gigantic sharks slowly died out. Finally, let's take a look at something that's even more terrifying than a giant shark: a giant predatory snail. Lycoprion was a bizarre-looking fish that swam in the oceans during the late Devonian, around 360 million years ago. Unlike modern-day sharks, helicoprions didn't have jaws or teeth. Instead, they had a spiral-shaped blade made of cartilage located at the front of their mouths. This blade was used to slice through flesh and could grow up to 3 feet in length. The rest of their mouth looked like a funnel, which they used to suck prey into their mouth. The body of a helicoprion resembled that of a shark, but instead of being streamlined, it was very rough. Razor-like scales covered their bodies, which would be very painful to touch. Helicoprion had huge eyes that would stick out of their sockets when they were underwater. This is very similar to how modern-day mud skippers look when they are on land. We don't know exactly how helicoprion moved through the water, but we do know they were active predators. They had strong fins that would have allowed them to swim relatively fast, and their spiral mouth would have made them deadly. Unfortunately, they went extinct at the end of the Devonian, likely due to the Devonian mass extinction event. The Earth has been around for billions of years, and in that time it has seen many changes. However, one thing that has remained constant is the presence of the ocean. The world's oceans have been home to some of the most amazing creatures to ever live. So what do you think? Which of these sea monsters was the most terrifying? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.